Alright, so we have one more week of poetry lessons to do, and these are some fun ones, so I'm going to jump right in. I wanted to highlight some more of our elements of poetry. We've already talked about word choice, but it fits perfectly with our style of poetry today, so I wanted to make sure I talked about it. So this right there at the top says word choice, and it says, since poems tend to be shorter in length, it is important to choose words for your poems carefully. It wants you to use words that get right to the point and paint a picture in the reader's mind. And then this is the reason I wanted to highlight it today. Right here it says, haiku poems are a good example of this since they are only made up of 17 syllables. So we are going to talk about haikus today. I know there's a lot of information on the page, so go ahead and start up there at the top with me. So this says haiku poem, and it's reminding you that a haiku is a form of ancient Japanese poetry, which is really neat. The poems are often written about things in nature or seasons. They are also written about emotions or feelings about something. Haiku poems are not written as complete sentences. They are more often written as short thoughts, and capitalization and punctuation is up to the writer. So sometimes it helps to have punctuation in there. Other times it actually helps to totally get rid of it. That choice is yours. But a haiku very specifically has to follow this exact pattern. So in order to have a haiku, your line number 1 can only have 5 syllables. That does not mean 5 words. That means 5 syllables. Line 2 has to have 7 syllables, and line 3 has to have 5 syllables. The reason that they do that is it gives it sort of like a rhythm or a pattern, kind of like music. You always have 8 beats to every line of in a poem or in a song. It's very similar to haiku. You've got a beat or a pattern that you're trying to follow, and that is 5-7-5. So the one that they gave you an example of, and remember 5 syllables is where you're think about your clapping that you used to do probably in kindergarten or first grade to figure out how many syllables there were in a word. So for example, in the word syllable, there are 3 times where you kind of like pause amongst the word syllable. So there are 3 syllables in the word syllable. So we're looking for 5 and then 7 and then 5. So Yellowstone geysers, mud pots, geysers, and camping, big place for nature. So just to double check, that would be Yellowstone geysers, that's 5. Mud pots, geysers, and camping, that's 7. Big place for nature, that's 5. Now that's just to double check that it works. You would never ever read the poem that way. And you would just go about reading the poem very regularly as you would any other thing that you're reading out loud. Yellowstone, geysers, mud pots, geysers, and camping, big place for nature. But the nice part about it is you know it's a haiku because it follows that 5-7-5, and it automatically gives you a little bit of a rhythm to that poem style. So they gave you some hints here. It says include images that appeal to the 5 senses. What colors do you see? What sounds can you hear? What is the taste of the image? What smells do you notice? How does it feel? Since you are very limited in the number of syllables you can use, try not to repeat words and limit the use of unimportant words. So you don't always see words like the in a haiku. Now, sometimes you do, but you don't always. So they told you up here at the top that it's usually about nature and seasons or about feelings and emotions. I didn't do all of my examples based on that. Sometimes it's fun just to write different kinds of haiku. But if you're truly, truly trying to stick to the haiku style of poetry, it really is meant to focus on those 4 things. But let me show you some examples that I came up with. So one is, I didn't tell you what it is, so you'll have to try to decide. So my poem went red, orange, yellow, dipping below horizon, see you tomorrow. And hopefully you can see that that was meant to be a sunset. Okay. I also liked that one because even though it doesn't say the word sunset, we know enough about a sunset to know the colors of it. We know that it dips below the horizon and that it always comes back up again tomorrow. So you automatically know what that is. I went with another one. Birch Bay gooey ducks, spraying seawater up high, zoom back into sand. That's one of my very favorite things to do at Birch Bay is to poke gooey duck holes, and I thought it fit nicely into a haiku poem. And then obviously I can't write a haiku without including Elliot. Elliot loves treats. Sit, stay, shake, kiss, roll over. He'll be your best friend. So this is the page that was sent out to you a few weeks ago. If you need it, just let me know and I'll send it out again. And then they just gave you some examples down here at the bottom. Waking up to chirps, birds singing in the morning, beautiful bird songs. The evening sun sets, brilliant colors, glimmering, beautiful colors. And then the one that they already read to you about Yellowstone. So you've got to try really hard for that 575. Remember, you can share it on Flipgrid. Oops, that's not how you spell Flipgrid. You can share it in a Zoom meeting if you would like to. I would love that. You can always share it with your family. I've had a few kids emailing me your poems. Just remember, you don't have to do that, but you can if you would like to share. Have fun!